Hi, I'm Luan with Tagawa Gardens here in Centennial, Colorado. And if you need a little hint of the tropics indoors, this is the place to come, and this is the lady to see. Dee is our houseplant supervisor here at Tagawa's, and she's a wizard when it comes to making terrariums. Start with this beauty, Dee. That is stunning.
This is a custom work that we like to do, mainly because they tend to get pretty ugly pretty quick here in the garden center, so we prefer to do custom. And we just did this for a gentleman. He brought in the bowl, and we finished it up for him.
And that is just it looks like its own landscape, which is what these are supposed to be, right?
Well, and that's what I want it to look like you're walking right through the jungle, get that feel. And we used a little cypress in here, lemon cypress, and a violet to give you some color. I even put a little Tillandsia in here to get you a little three-dimension look in here. But yeah, we'll do whatever you want. You can come in here and look at, pick out the plants, and we'll stick them in there for you.
And pick the container. We sell a lot of different containers.
Yeah, we do carry a few containers. Okay. You can bring in your own, yes ma'am.
Okay, and this is open. Many times terrariums are closed. What's the difference? Why?
Well, an open terrarium, you have to water more often. But it is hard. That's the hardest part is figuring out the watering. An open terrarium is going to dry out, normally about every 2 to 3 weeks, whereas a closed terrarium, once you get the moisture content correct, it's going to be a sealed unit, and you maybe water it once or twice a year.
Okay, I'm going to hoist this one up, and you can talk a little bit about the layers that we see here.
What we used is this stuff called hydrocorn or hydrogen, which is a baked ceramic. That's your reservoir. That's where the excess water goes down. Then we use a substrate layer, which is usually a coffee filter or a weed barrier fabric.
Which you almost can't see in there.
Right, and
really.
With the coffee filter, it'll actually disintegrate and you won't even see it, but it makes you have those layers. And then we put a very thin layer of charcoal on the top, and then the soil.
And then the idea is you plant, and the roots are going to stay primarily here in that soil
Believe it or
area.
not, the roots do go down into the gravel, but it keeps the layers. The main problem is the soil tends to intermix with the gravel, and then you don't get that layer, and then the soil wicks, and we don't want the soil to wick up the water down in the reservoir.
And they're all different. This is very petite. This one kind of big and bold and brassy.
Great centerpiece. That's one thing I like about this. You can decorate this for even Halloween. Put little Halloween, little pumpkins,
right.
And then you can change it over to fall with some fall leaves. And then for Christmas, you can put even some ornaments in there. And then throughout the rest of the year, you can just have it the way it is.
I am intrigued with this little guy. Tell me what we're going to do with this.
This is a really new thing. It's a hanging ornament or a hanging terrarium. We're using Tillandsias in there because Tillandsias need, and these are your Tillandsias, they need a lot of humidity and they grow very well inside a terrarium. So I was going to show you how
would you plant that?
What we're going to do, we're going to do the same layering technique as we do there. We're going to put a little thin layer, and I'm going to just put it in my hand here. I'm going to put a thin layer, and this is where your reservoir is, where the water goes. We don't want the plant sitting in water.
Okay.
Then we're going to do the coffee filter, and how I measure the coffee filter is I just cut a little edge here.
This is a regular coffee filter.
Yeah.
This is not some...
And what I love about the coffee filter is because it's round.
Right.
And it's easy to deal with, so I'm going to need to make that a little bit tinier.
And coffee filters are meant to be used with moisture, so they last a little while. They maintain that separation between your gravel down there, your hydroton.
But they will slowly deteriorate. They'll go away, and then you won't see them anymore.
Here comes the charcoal.
You put a layer of charcoal. The charcoal keeps the soil sweet, keeps it from getting nasty if you keep it too wet. And then I'm going to do a layer of moss in here to hide everything.
We should have started a clock. We're about 60 seconds into this. This is not a time-consuming, difficult process.
Isn't that quick?
So this little
That's it.
Tillandsia, little airplane plants, they call them sometimes, air plant. You just tuck it in there. It doesn't have roots as we know it.
I leave the little wire on it so I can pull it out, and then I take a spray bottle and I mist it. This plant lives off of moisture in the air, so I just mist the plant. I would, of course, take the price tag off, but then you just pop it back in there, and there you go.
And it's just as happy as
Oh yeah.
Can be.
You can mist on the inside, but the problem is then you get water spots on
Water.
the inside, and
Okay.
then it looks pretty nasty.
Okay. Have about a minute left. Show me what you would do with something larger, like this terrarium here.
Well, and that we would be duplicating what we've done here.
Okay.
Same thing. We would pour the hydrogen in the bottom, make a layer, usually about a little less than an inch, up to 2 inches, depending on how big your container is. We're going to do the same thing with the coffee filter. Make our layer.
This is fun. This is
And then
just
don't forget the
perfect
charcoal.
indoor entertainment.
Charcoal keeps it sweet. And you don't need a lot of that. A lot of people put too much. And charcoal's expensive, so just keep a very thin layer.
Okay.
And then I'm going to do about 1.5 inches to 2 inches of soil.
This is just kind of a regular pickle jar.
This
It's
is
not
a pickle jar
yeah.
or a canning jar.
Right.
Exactly. And I'm using an all-purpose potting soil.
Nothing special.
Nothing special. I would stay away from a lot of organics because then we're going to
Okay.
be growing fungus and stuff. Then we're going to take, I usually take 1, 3, or 5 plants, and I
Odd
usually
numbers,
put
yeah.
at least a fern, and I kill ferns except for in terrariums. And especially like this maidenhair fern does very well. I'm going to put the tallest plants in the, I'm going to figure out what my front and my back is going to be.
Okay. Or you could have it 360 if you wanted
You
to,
could,
right?
and put a tall plant in the middle and then
Right.
put shorter plants around the outside edge. And I'm trying to keep the soil level exactly the same as what they are in the pot.
You put
If the
moss on
roots-
that one?
Yes, I'm going to
Okay.
put a little bit of moss in here to finish it
This
off.
feels so good. And this is a living plant.
It is, and it will continue to grow in here. Sometimes it'll even take over.
All right.
So you have to go in there and clean it out.
We have
And I
been
just kind
warned.
of poke this down the sides a little bit.
And then water it once everything's planted?
Exactly, and what you're going to do, your instinct is to water it right in the middle.
Ah.
What you want to do is try to get a watering can that has a long scoop, or you can make a funnel, and you put the funnel against the side of the glass here,
So
and then
you're
you
watering
pour the
down.
water around the perimeter, because you want to see the water go down into the reservoir. As soon as you see water collecting down in the reservoir, stop.
Stop.
And then the hardest part is getting your moisture content right. What tends to happen with sealed terrariums, as soon as you seal this up, it's going to start fogging. And then you're going to see water on the side. Every time you see water on the side, you're going to open it up, and then the water's going to evaporate, and then you're going to close it back up again, and you're going to keep doing that until when you close it, and then after about an hour, if you don't see any moisture, you can seal it. And you pretty much have a sealed terrarium, self-sustaining. Like I said, maybe water it once or twice a year, if that.
They make great gifts. Dee is here. We'll be happy to walk you through the process, pick some plants, offer advice, wonderful moss. Come see us at Tagawa's. We would be happy to help you be green and grow. If you like this video, feel free to share it with a friend, and come see us at TagawaGardens.com for more videos like this. You'll also find us on Facebook and Twitter.